Here we go, y'all. Pope Francis decided to throw some haymakers at conservatives in the U.S., I think specifically conservative Catholics. This is an article in the AP. They say, Pope says some backward conservatives in U.S. Catholic Church have replaced faith with ideology. Now, I understand what he's trying to say, that, like, now their political ideology is their faith, but I will also be a little pedantic here and point out that religious faith is also an ideology, okay? Like, it's not like religious faith is good, but political ideology is bad. No, they could both either be good or bad, and they are both definitely ideologies. Pope Francis has blasted the, quote, backwardness of some conservatives in the U.S. Catholic Church, saying they have replaced faith with ideology, and that a correct understanding of Catholic doctrine allows for change over time. Francis's comments were an acknowledgement of the divisions in the U.S. Catholic Church, which has been split between progressives and conservatives who long found support in the doctrinaire papacies of St. John Paul II and Benedict the whatever 16th, particularly on issues of abortion and same-sex marriage. Many conservatives have blasted Francis's emphasis instead on social justice issues such as the environment and the poor, while also branding as heretical his opening to letting divorce and civilly remarried Catholics receive the sacraments. Okay, so let's pause here for a second. The old school doctrine of Catholics in the U.S. and Christians more broadly is we're anti-abortion and we're anti-gay marriage. Now, beyond that, if you are a Catholic and you are divorced, first of all, they don't want you to get divorced. Second of all, if you do get divorced, you're no longer allowed to receive the sacraments, which is that goofy ceremony at the end of church where they act like you're eating the body of Christ and drinking the blood. It's like a little wafer thing. That was like a cornerstone of Catholic Church. Now, it's interesting because the Catholic Church has always been split, not always, but like in modern times, they've been split relatively 50-50. Like 50% of Catholics in the U.S. are Republican, 50% are Democrats. It's actually one of the more split denominations among white religious people in the United States. And of course, Pope Francis, since he got to power, he has much more focused on hey, we need to protect the environment and we need to look out for poor people. So in other words, this is just like a different portion of the ideology of Jesus. And, there's even an argument that the Bible is not, quote unquote, pro-life as in anti-abortion. Abortion is performed in the Bible, where there's a passage where they say, oh, if a woman cheats on you, she should drink the bitter water and that'll make her miscarry. It like advocates abortion if your wife cheats on you. Anyway, I digress. So he's focusing on like better parts of Christian message. Like, hey, protect the environment and look out for the poor. But the conservative Catholics in the U.S. are pissing him for it. Like, I don't understand. Why don't you just, shit on abortion all day long and shit on gay people all day long? And he's been more open to gay people than, previous popes certainly have been. And so it's causing like a split in the church. Now, by the way, it's hilarious because also part of Catholic doctrine is the Pope is like a representative of God. He's the closest person to God on this planet. He's supposed to be like special and sacred and holy. And all of a sudden, when his politics disagree with like conservative Catholics, they're like, actually, no, you're not part of God. No, you're not in that position. Well, wait, I thought you were a doctrinaire Catholic where you go by the letter of the law here. If you are, you're supposed to say, hey, I subject myself to the Pope because the Pope is right. But obviously, like he says, they're putting ideology above faith, or in this particular instance, political ideology above faith. Francis made the comments in a private meeting with Portuguese members of his Jesuit religious order while visiting Lisbon on August 5th. The Jesuit journal La Civiltà Católica, which is vetted by the Vatican Secretariat of State. It'd be awesome if that was a horse. Vatican Horse of State, published a transcript of the encounter Monday. During the meeting, a Portuguese Jesuit told Francis that he had suffered during a recent sabbatical year in the United States because he came across many Catholics, including some U.S. bishops, who criticized Francis's 10-year papacy as well as today's Jesuits. By the way, the Jesuits are a very liberal, very left-wing version of Christians. The 86-year-old Argentine acknowledged his point, saying there was a very strong, organized, reactionary attitude in the U.S. church, which he called backward. He warned that such an attitude leads to a climate of closure, which was erroneous. Quote, doing this, you lose the true tradition and you turn to ideologies to have support. In other words, ideologies replace faith, he said. The vision of the doctrine of the church as a monolith is wrong, he added. When you go backward, you make something closed off, disconnected from the roots of the church, which then has devastating effects on morality. I want to remind these people that backwardness is useless, and they must understand that there's a correct evolution in the understanding of questions of faith and morals that allows for doctrine to progress and consolidate over time. Francis has previously acknowledged the criticism directed at him from some U.S. conservatives, once quipping that it was an honor to be attacked by Americans. So in other words, what he's saying is, hey dog, look, I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to get other people to be good people and look out for the poor and look out for the needy and do the right thing. And I got all these conservative idiots who are telling me, why are you focusing on that? You should yell at women on the issue of abortion, and you should yell at gay people for being gay. And he's like, no, we're supposed to kind of evolve with the times. That's the argument he's making. I mean, look, I respect it in the sense that he's trying to drag the Catholic Church into modernity. But also at the same time, I would argue, you don't need that doctrine at all to be a good person. You could just be a good person. And in fact, if you use human sympathy and empathy and reason and logic, you could come to you can come to a much better moral foundation than if you're trying to go based off of ancient texts or some new interpretation of ancient texts or some cult group. So look, I credit to him. He's trying to be good. He's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to say, look, these people are forces of darkness. He's right about all that. But it's just hard to win that argument from within the belly of the beast, in the sense that they're always going to have their doctrines they could point to, and, you know, their reasoning for being shitty people and using their religion to back it up. Effectively, I think it's true. You can use religion for good, or you can use religion for evil. And it's like you're trying to put a veneer of seriousness over what your beliefs are and how you act in the world by alluding to, oh, I'm just doing God's will. You know what I mean? So at least he's trying to do it for good. But, you know, ultimately, I don't think you need the religion. I don't think I need the religion. I think, you know, we can focus on what's true and still try to be good people and have a good moral foundation. I wish him luck in this fight against the forces of backwardness and division. He's certainly the best pope of my lifetime. Let's just hope that whichever one eventually replaces him is not going to turn that dial all the way back immediately. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.